They were looking for another Nicole. Like, okay, he's dumped Nicole. That's gone. He's got his kids. He's moving forward, but he really likes having a woman. Let's get him a woman. Then somehow, some way, Katie Holmes got into the orbit, and she was not a Scientologist, but somehow that happened. They get married, again, have Surrey. Then 6 years later, she arranges to escape from him. And she called him. Well, she waited until he was out of town up in Iceland doing a film shoot. And she then called him and said, we're done. And apparently it blindsided him. And then before she knew it, she was in his life. And then boom, she was out of his life. Sent to Clearwater, Florida. She was sent down to Flag in Clearwater and made to scrub toilets with a toothbrush and made to do very degrading physical work. She had upset Tom. And there is no higher crime apparently in Scientology than upsetting Tom.
From Dawson's Creek to The Secret, it's safe to say that Katie Holmes has already made her mark in the entertainment industry. But it seems there's a lot more to the star besides just her acting prowess. And now, she has just made the news for her toxic marriage to Tom Cruise. In her latest interviews, the actress has revealed everything. And to put it plainly, if you were considering being a Top Gun, you may want to reconsider. After 6 years of marriage, Katie Holmes and the King of Hollywood decided to end their relationship. The news was unexpected, but their separation was surprisingly amicable, with no public slander between the two parties. This is uncommon in Hollywood divorces. All of it boils down to one rule that the single mother had to abide by. According to a source that talked with Radar Online, Katie signed a clause in her quickie divorce settlement that prevents her from embarrassing Tom in various ways, like talking about him or Scientology, or publicly dating another man for 5 years after the divorce. And if you think that looks bad, you'll flip at the other side of it. The source went on to add, she's allowed to date, but she cannot do so in a public fashion, and she's not supposed to let any boyfriend near their daughter, Surrey. Katie made it a point to follow all of the rules. In one interview, a presenter asked her about her dating life, and her response was what most might describe as aggressive. She said, "That's not something I want to answer. If Katie were to break the rules, she would risk losing custody of her child." This is precisely why she kept her relationship with actor Jamie Foxx a secret for years. The strict terms of the divorce settlement raised the question of why the actress agreed to them in the first place, as they seem unreasonable. As per the source, Katie wanted out of the marriage so badly, she agreed to the terms and got $4.8 million in child support, plus another $5 million for herself. While that is a valid point, it leads to another question. Why did Katie decide to end the marriage? Regrettably, the actress who portrayed Joey Potter has not discussed this matter publicly. Fortunately, other individuals have shed light on the situation. The majority of the insider information was disclosed by ex-Scientologist Chris Shelton during an interview with YouTuber Andrew Gold. And let's just say, he had a lot to say.
That time period, because I was still banging around in the Sea Org during that time, there was an international effort within the world of Scientology to find the most beautiful Scientologists.
It appears that Shelton and his team were assigned the duty of discovering the most stunning Scientologists worldwide with the assistance of the Golden Era Productions division of Scientology, who were putting in extra effort. Initially, they were informed that this was for a modeling job, without any knowledge that their endeavors were meant for Tom Cruise.
I was not on that project. I knew the person who was on that project in the West US where I was working at the time. And it was just kind of this, drop everything, get this done. And they were working on it for, I think, a couple weeks. We never really heard much from them. They weren't, the gold person, his name was Andrash. He didn't attend any meetings. We didn't see him for he just didn't surface for about 2 weeks. And it's because he was working on this project. And I had no idea what it was until years later when I left, and the timing and everything. I'm like, holy cow, that was the Katie project.
During the course of Shelton's involvement with the project, he never had the opportunity to meet the person in charge. It was not until several years later that he learned the project was the Katie Project, which was essentially a collaborative effort to locate a replacement for Nicole Kidman, as the Top Gun actor was in need of a female partner.
On my part, but given the fact that, he micromanages his life to such a degree, it's hard for me. It stretches my credulity to think that he didn't know that this was happening.
Throughout the years, Tom has consistently refuted any links to the church. However, Shelton suggests that the actor controls every aspect of his life with meticulous attention to detail, making it highly unlikely that he was unaware of this. Additionally, a Twitter user named Mr. Pop Official brought this to light by stating, "Did everyone just forget what Tom Cruise did to Katie Holmes and all of the things former Scientologists have alleged about him? It doesn't sit right with me." Along with that was a screenshot where Lee Remini admitted that the actor was aware of the abuse. Despite the team's efforts to locate a devoted Scientologist, their attempts were unsuccessful. Fate seemed to intervene, ultimately bringing Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes together. Their relationship was tumultuous, with their initial encounter occurring in 2005. Within months, the couple progressed from dating to marriage, with Tom proposing 2 months after their first meeting. In 2006, they welcomed their daughter Suri, who is currently 16 years old.
6 years later, she arranges to escape from him. She didn't just divorce him or say, hey, I'm kind of done. She had to actually escape. Her father, fortunately for her, is a divorce attorney, pretty high-powered divorce attorney in New York.
Nonetheless, 6 years later, Katie was making arrangements to depart from the relationship, and had it not been for her skilled divorce attorney in New York, the situation could have taken a vastly different turn. This was also brought to light by a fan who pointed out, Katie was very lucky to have a high-powered divorce lawyer for a father. Not all people who want to leave have such support.
Bodyguard, advisor, handler, whatever. She got those people out. She was being, by the way, from the very beginning, she was being trailed by a Scientologist handler who was with her all the time. Every time she was on camera, in public, whatever, this Scientologist was trailing her with her. Anyway, she escaped from all of that, got all those people out of her life, and within, I think, about a week or two, had arranged burner phones, and she got this apartment, and she got away. She escaped, and she called him. Well, she waited until he was out of town up in Iceland doing a film shoot, and she then called him and said, we're done. And apparently it blindsided him.
Katie formulated an intricate strategy to carry out her escape, which involved terminating all of the staff hired by Tom, including the Scientology manager who was training her constantly. Additionally, she acquired disposable phones and secured a new apartment, waiting for Tom to leave town before making her move. Her plan was executed flawlessly, and Tom was taken completely by surprise. Although there were rumors of Katie being pursued by Scientology members after her divorce, she successfully achieved her primary objective of removing her daughter from the influence of Scientology.
One of the reasons that she left was that she didn't want Suri to get involved with Scientology, and she was coming of an age where that was going to start happening. About 6 or 7 years old is when you can really start going in on a kid with Scientology. Up until then, it's not going to be very meaningful.
Katie was adamant about keeping her daughter away from the Church of Scientology as she grew older, as she believed that it posed a real and present danger. The Church of Scientology is often regarded as a cult, primarily due to the difficulty involved in leaving the organization. According to testimonials provided by former member Lee Remini, the church utilizes brainwashing tactics and restricts access to information that does not originate from Scientology sources. Furthermore, individuals who speak out against the church are swiftly and harshly labeled as enemies. Additionally, the church does not believe in mental health treatment, which is a concerning issue when it comes to raising a child.
Regardless of any of the specifics of awfulness or traumatizing behavior that might have occurred from Tom to Katie, I really want to validate Katie for rescuing her daughter from Scientology, because that is what she did. It is something to be rescued from. I grew up in Scientology. I grew up with it, and I know what it does to you, and it does bad things. It's not just another set of beliefs. It's a set of practices and techniques that you use on yourself as well as on other people. And those techniques include tremendous emotional suppression that causes, to a degree, that causes psychological trauma in and of itself.
Shelton, who was raised in the Church of Scientology, has verified Katie's concerns about the potential negative impact that growing up in the organization could have on Suri. Shelton stated that Scientology is essentially a collection of beliefs centered on excessive emotional repression, which is not a healthy approach. Consequently, Suri's upbringing could have been significantly affected if she had remained in the church.
Tom just has visitation rights, which I guess he hardly ever uses.
Is that right?
Yeah, he hardly ever sees his daughter. In fact, I can't remember the last time he saw her. At least that it was reported on.
It is surprising to note that following the divorce, Tom appears to have grown distant from his daughter. Although he has visitation rights, he seems to use them sparingly, as per Shelton's knowledge. Additionally, it is worth noting that Shelton is not the only person recounting Katie's experience. Twitter user Plady Opus also shared similar information, saying they literally hold a 6-month-long sea cruise where their children are put on the boat with a bunch of adults as chaperones and give them those brainwashing classes. This was the main reason Katie Holmes divorced Tom Cruise, because he wanted to put Suri on the cruise. fans. Not just them, Katie fans have also jumped into the mix to defend their fave. One fan wrote, "It's safe to say Scientology underestimated Katie and her ability to stand up to him and them. Go Katie." Another wrote, "Katie Holmes was absolutely right to escape Tom Cruise and Scientology. She was doing what was right for herself and her daughter. You have my support, Katie. A mother's job is to protect her children. May you and your daughter have an amazing life full of happiness."
That didn't result in a full-blown Scientologist. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. Now, there were candidates who were tried. There was a Scientology actress.
Regrettably, Katie is just one of many people who have been entangled in the complicated web of Scientology and Tom Cruise. Prior to the church setting its sights on Katie, other actresses were also considered for the role, including Iranian actress Nazanin Boniadi. Numerous sources have reported that auditions were held by the church to find a possible girlfriend for Tom Cruise back in 2004, with Nazanin ultimately being selected. However, it is worth noting that she was not necessarily the true winner of the audition. Reportedly, Boniadi was frequently in tears during her time with the church. At a Scientology center in Florida, when a friend inquired as to what was troubling her, the How I Met Your Mother actress broke down. A reliable source claims that Boniadi was punished by being forced to clean toilets with a toothbrush, use acid to scrub bathroom tiles, and dig ditches in the middle of the night. Following this, she was sent out to sell Dianetics, the work of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, on street corners. Boniadi and her mother have since disassociated themselves from the church.
She had upset Tom, and there is no higher crime apparently in Scientology than upsetting Tom. So she was run through the grist mill because of that.
As for what led to her punishment, it's because her plans were to upset Tom, and there seems to be no greater sin than that.
British actress and activist born in Iran, raised in London. She was a Scientologist. She's no longer one. And the reason why is because of Tom Cruise.
It is surprising that Nazanin was previously a Scientologist, but her traumatic experience with Tom Cruise led her to dissociate herself from the religion. That's it from our side today. Until next time, goodbye.